Hello and welcome to another tutorial on how to make a game in XNA. And in this tutorial we're going to go over our map maker some more. We're just going to continue this project. So yeah, okay. Two new variables we'd probably want to make is keyboard states, just to keep track of what the user is pressing or not. So just make one called keyboard, and the other one, oops, didn't mean to do that. And another one, just call it keyboard, previous keyboard. So previous keyboard. Okay, there we go. After you create those two keyboard events, let's go to our update method, and we're going to create, we're going to actually declare them in this method. So keyboard equals keyboard dot get state. Okay. And then on the bottom we're going to put previous keyboard equals keyboard, and we're going to put whatever you want to do inside between there. So basically this is going to be the current keyboard, and previous keyboard will be basically be the previous keyboard on the last frame. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah, so instead of HUD just declaring our variable here, we're just going to say HUD equals new HUD. There we go. Now, what else should we do? We should load the content for the HUD. So HUD.load content. What the heck? Sorry. I thought HUD had. Okay, apparently we don't have to load anything. Yeah, so it doesn't look like we have to load anything right now. But if we do, it would go right here. So now we want to draw the HUD actually. So HUD dot, what the heck? Oh, this is static, no wonder. Okay, sorry, it's different. I think I have it differently than I would have had it. So HUD dot draw and then sprite batch. Usually I have it where I put everything non-static and then just declare a variable and stuff like that, and that's how I would do it. But apparently I've done it differently in this game. So yeah. Okay, so now when we want to make our map maker, basically what we want is, actually we want to make a same thing like these, except we want to make them for the mouse. So instead of keyboard state, it'll be mouse state. So mouse state and mouse state. And what we want to have the map maker do is when we press the mouse button, or basically when we left click, we want it to place down an object like a wall or something like that, whatever you have selected. And the way we will select the stuff is basically by scrolling up and down. So we will also want to make an integer called selected, and this will just basically just keep track of what item we have selected or want to place down. And yeah, so we're just basically going to do the same thing with a mouse, just like the keyboard. Almost going to look identical. Oops, mouse dot get state. Okay, and then previous mouse equals mouse. Okay, there we go. We're pretty set from here on out. I'm just gonna pause it and decide what to do. Okay, so what we want to do now is copy some of the things we have in our game class, because that's basically what we need right now. Actually, we don't really want things to update, we just want things to draw. So in our draw method, I'm just going to go to our game class, and we're going to copy some of the draw things, some of the things in our draw method in the game class, and I'm not able to find it for some reason. Okay, just found it. Okay, so in our draw method right here, we're drawing all the objects. We basically just want to copy this for each loop, or you don't have to, you can just write it out, but it's easier just to copy it. And this will basically, you know, the normal. Okay, so this for each loop basically just loops through all the objects and draws them just like normal. So just put draws all objects, and we don't need to update them because it's just a map maker. And so next thing is we want to place an object or a marker where wherever we click. So to check where we click, I'm just gonna write a new handy method, public bool check key. Actually, no, we don't check. Actually, we'll just check mouse, and this will basically check if I've left clicked and I haven't left clicked before. So yeah, so just return if we're going to return a conditional because we can return a bool, and if we make an if statement, little conditional in here, it'll return either true or false, so that'll be a boolean, so that will be fine. So we want to check if mouse dot left button equals button state dot pressed and previous mouse. See, that's why we need previous mouse. Left button equals button state dot released. So what this is saying is basically we can't hold down the mouse button and place down unlimited amount of blocks, or place down a block every frame, because otherwise, you know, that's not really what we want it to do. We want it to place one thing every time we click, not when we want to hold down the button. So yeah, that's basically it. Next thing we want to do is get the position of the mouse and then place our object wherever we want. Okay guys, I was looking at some previous code I had, and I think the code we have right now is a little bit inefficient, and the code that I had before is inefficient, and that's because we're in our items class, we're basically just loading the same sprite over and over again. You see, every time we make a new object, here let's go in our object class, and load its content, we have to load a new sprite every time. But what we can do is instead of loading a sprite every time, we can just load it once and then have that sprite be a public static sprite that everyone can access, and whoever needs that specific sprite will just go to that already loaded sprite and just copy it to another variable. And so I'm not sure if this is going to work too well, but let's try it. Okay, just gonna say public list, and it's going to be texture 2D, and we're just going to call this sprite, actually object sprite DB. DB stands for database. So object sprite database equals new list texture 2D. So this will basically have every single sprite that we have, or that would potentially be an object's sprite. So now we should make a static method within our object class to load all of this. So I'm going to get rid of this, public static void init, short for initialize sprite db. So this basically, just like the title says, will initialize the sprite database. And the way we're going to do this is basically just manually, is by getting each of these names and loading it. Actually, if we wanted to get really fancy, we could make an XML reader, which I might do later, but for now we'll just keep it nice and simple. If you want to make an XML reader, just go back to our map reader. You can do it in a very similar way where we did it before. It's not that hard, just simple string parsing. But for now, let's just do it like this. So what do we call it? Object sprite. Oh, I forgot to make that a static variable. So go back to our object sprite database variable and make it static. So object sprite database dot add, and we want to add a new texture 2D. And actually we need to have a content manager as an argument in here because we need to have the content manager to load anything. So content manager content dot load texture 2D, and then the string asset name. So I mean, what you could end up doing if you wanted to make this XML based, have your whole list of sprites in an XML file or in a binary file, whatever you want. This might be easier in XML. Is you can replace this with instead of having just a string here, put it in a for loop, and before that get all the sprites you would possibly have, read it from XML, put it into a list, loop through that list, and put that string right in here instead. But now we're just going to do this sprites block, and just copy and paste this. How many sprites do we have? Let's go over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 sprites, so we just have to copy this 8 more times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So our first sprite is block. Well, my first sprite is block. Your sprite names might be different. Just put your sprite names in here. So box strip 6 bullet 2 cursor enemy man. Oh, I miscounted. We need another one. And wall 2. Okay, there we go. And all this should be added to our database. And then what we can do is take the sprite name, match it up with actually, you know what? Instead of making this a list, we should make this a dictionary. The difference between a dictionary and a list is a dictionary, instead of having you know, your key being an integer, basically the order in which you added it, it's basic. Oh, why is it giving me an error? Oh, right. Instead of having it just the key being an integer, you can have the key become a string, or basically whatever you want, I think. Or it might just be a string. I believe it's yeah, it's whatever you want. You see, I'm specifying that I want the key to be a string. So we can match this up, the sprite name be the key for the object, and just put that as an index for our dictionary, and then it would be super easy just to add anything. Why is this? Oh, right. See, now when we want to add something, we not only have to add the value, but we have to add the key. And this key is block. Again, we'll have to just do this manually. Or if you're doing XML, you could easily parse this to do whatever you want. So again, we might just use XML because we don't have to do all this stuff. We will have to list the names, but it's just a lot more neater, and we don't have to put it down 2 times. I don't know. Yeah, it's just more neater. It's not good if you have to hard code all your information. It's better just to put it outside your code, so if you want to change anything, you can do it very easily without looking through the whole code. So that's pretty much it. You know, I ran this tutorial a little bit long. Apologize for that. But yeah, so hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope to see you in the next tutorial. Okay, bye.